We'll be able to keep you interested for at least another hour or so. First of all, I would like to thank obviously the organisers of the conference here in Malaysia, and in particular my friends from the IOC, Walter, and to Pavo and to Crystal. Thank you very much for the invitation. It's nice to be back amongst friends. I'm also looking forward to sharing with you one idea, perhaps one solution that we have come up with in our region, in our community, that maybe will be some food for thought and maybe will lead to an exchange of ideas and to some learning. Having been to a few of these congresses, one cannot help being, I'm not sure if impressed is the right word, but by the overwhelming evidence that's presented in favour of the Sport for All cause. I mean, when you sit through the presentations, one is completely, you're buying completely to this concept. The challenge is always, apart from having some personal goals that you set for yourself when you leave here about your health and your fitness, you also think to yourself, well, how do we actually make this a reality? How do we turn this? And that's obviously the challenge for everybody. That's the challenge for governments. But what I'm proposing here is that I think there are perhaps too many communities that sit back and wait for things to happen. So what I'm proposing here, and going to give you a little bit of background, is to what an initiative that we put into place. Excuse me. That is one idea that could be helpful to the audience. So when I was researching this topic, social justice and sport for all, I thought I did what any good person with a computer does these days. You go into Google and you search social, and I look for the definition of social justice. And it was fairly daunting once I read through this, and I'm sure when you see it, the justice is achieved in every aspect of society. It's generally thought of as a world which affords individuals and groups fair treatment and an impartial share of benefits of society. Now, when one puts that in sport for all context, as I said, it becomes quite a daunting task and a daunting thought. But I think probably something very worthwhile to keep in the back of your mind to aspire to. So what I aim to do in looking at the different themes of this session in the afternoon, I'll try and link the presentation to give you a bit of background to the historical situation in South Africa, as I see it. It's only one point of view. The region situation in my community. Talk a little bit more in detail about this concept of fostering social integration. And there I will focus on three levels, one at the university, two in the community, and three at the sporting level. The ability of our institution to provide opportunities and support, and then touch on something that I believe possibly is the greatest challenge. Having worked in development sport programs in my previous life, some 10, 15 years ago, I think the sustainability issue, the S word, is always the greatest challenge that we have, and maybe can't propose. And that's why I think that educational tertiary institutions could play a big role. And then talk a little bit about how we integrate sporting and Olympic values into these programs. Now, just very briefly, I just want to touch on and provide you with some facts, once again, that I obtained thanks to Google. Back in 1998, the President of the country reflected on the situation and quite rightly said that the country is really divided up into two parts, one white and wealthy and the other one black and poor. The situation 10 years on, the reality is that the number of people in the country living on less than $1 a day is more than doubled, in fact. So, and I think that obviously has to be taken in the context also that in South Africa there's been a southward migration from countries. South Africa is currently ranked recently overtaken a South American country as the most unequal country in the world in terms of how people live. And in other words, you can see that almost 100%, the wealthiest 10% are almost 100 times richer than the bottom 10%. So once again, when one looks at this in a sport for all context, and in a social justice, if you refer back to that definition of social justice, one thinks that there's a huge imbalance. And obviously those who are wealthy have access to sporting facilities, to sporting programs, and those that are poor have obviously a lot less of access. And clearly that is a challenge that many countries face in the developing world. And South Africa, clearly, as you know, in Africa, is regarded as a country that is a beacon or I would say a leader. So it presents many challenges, but also presents, obviously, at the same time, major opportunities. To give you some of the local context, as was pointed out early on, Stellenbosch is a part of the world that is very close to Cape Town, the southern tip of Africa. Stellenbosch is approximately 40 minutes drive from Cape Town, and well known as a tourist destination, in particular wine. I do believe that the institution is also a well-known academic institution, and I think from a sporting point of view, probably best known for our rugby prowess, having the largest rugby club in the world, and having contributed the most national players in the country. And that's just a little picture of the facilities that exist today at the university. The Sports Performance Institute, which I represent today, has been tasked with the objective of maximizing the sporting assets. So you might ask me, well, what does that mean? So this is an institute that is fairly new, that has been up and running for approximately 2 years, and like all good organizations, has established a vision to be a world-class training, education and research destination. But one of the debates that we had very early on is when we were thinking through this, is that what is our target market? What do we focus on? And there was this whole question, this whole debate, and I guess we could spend a lot of time going through that issue, is the whole question of high performance versus mass participation or sport for all. Now, our conclusion that we came to in our environment was that these two are not enemies. They need to be linked. So it's not a question of one or the other, it's a question of and. So we really focus our attention and trying to maximize our programs at 3 different levels. Yes, we focus on being a centre of excellence in various sports. We have a number of provincial academies, institutes. We have a number of national federations that have centres of excellence, and we, particularly in the South African summer, in the European winter, we are host to a lot of European athletes in particular that use this as a training base. However, and that's a name that you probably won't know at all, but that's the local name for the university clubs. It's our local sporting brand. We also focus on maximizing the opportunities for the 25 students that study at the university, not only from a performance perspective, but from a recreation, wellness, fitness, etc. So just as an example, we have a gymnasium which has over 7,000 members and has approximately 90 different aerobic fitness classes a week. So people are well looked after. There are some 32 sports that are available to the student community. But linking in here, we're also focusing on our contribution in the communities. What is our contribution in schools, in clubs, community centres? And here we've established a little program which is based on the local brand, what we call the Mini Marties program, which is part of this youth sports initiative that I referred to. And just one example of how these can link together, I'll give to you, yesterday we had Sir Philip Craven, the president of the IPC, and in fact we have a thriving club that focuses on disability sports. Now, out of that club, we managed to produce 11 Paralympians who, out of those 11, managed to get 16 medals at the Paralympic Games. So I think that's one, and the beauty of that is that 2 or 3 of those athletes have come out of school programs and talent ID programs. So for me, there's the arrow goes down, but there's also the arrow going up. So that is one example of how we view this. Coming back to the Youth Sports Initiative in the broad sense, we set ourselves 5 goals when looking at this program. We wanted to enhance the relationship between the university and the community. Now, I don't know, many of you come from tertiary institutions. I'm not sure what your relationship is between you and the community, but ours, in general, has not been a strong one. And in particular, in a joint effort to contribute to the theme 2 of the MDGs, which is promoting physical